Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday Talks with the Green Bay Doulas. I'm Emily Jacobson. This week, we have one of our own, Miss Cynthia, who is the local coordinator for PSI. And the reason we want to talk about that, for one, people don't even know what PSI stands for, so I'll let you talk about that. But this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, along with a plethora of other things like World Doula Month, C-Section Awareness Month. This Tuesday Talks, we want to focus on, in particular, perinatal mood disorders and obsessive compulsive disorders and postpartum anxiety. No one talks about that. So why don't we start here? Cynthia, what is PSI and what does it mean to be a PSI coordinator for our area?
Yeah, so PSI is Postpartum Support International, and it is this amazing organization. It basically is your one stop for everything. They provide you with coordinators like myself that are local in your area. And if you are needing non-emergency support, you would reach out to one of us. And what we would do is find any local resources that you are needing. So if you're needing a counselor, we would look for a counselor for you, work with your insurance, all of that. If you're needing mom support groups, dad support groups, anything like those things that we would help support you in finding. They also offer Zoom meetings every week. There's one every day of the week for different needs. So new moms, veteran moms, military dad, military families, dad groups, those with NICU babies, queer transgender groups. There's literally a group for everything. That way it touches base for, the whole community instead of just focusing on one in particular. So yeah, it's literally your one-stop shop for all the support that you can get, and also education resources. If you just need to learn a little bit more on what each of those things are.
Awesome. Okay, so to get to the meat and bones of this, why do you think people don't talk about postpartum anxiety or postpartum OCD?
I think it's just become a norm, honestly. Like, oh, it's normal for moms to worry. But I think there's a fine line that sometimes we cross, and we just don't know what is normal and what's not because we've been told for so long that it is normal behavior. In reality, it's not.
Yeah. So I was doing some research because I love research. And it's 3 to 5% of moms experience postpartum anxiety or obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yep.
What I think happens, and this is just me personally, is that people don't realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
They don't realize like what intrusive thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize like watching your baby sleep at night is not normal.
Right.
Like you should be sleeping. Yes, totally normal to like wake up and be like, is the baby breathing? But like to say like I haven't slept in 4 days because I have to stare at the baby to make sure it's breathing.
Exactly.
There's the line.
Yep.
Or you have to wash the laundry 3 times before you can put it in the dryer.
Exactly.
They don't even realize they're doing it. And sometimes I think that mothers don't even know. Everyone just talks about postpartum depression.
Right.
So it just kind of gets lumped into that. But the anxiety of leaving the house with a newborn, and there's a pandemic happening right now. So like I feel like people are confused. Like what could be normal anxiety and worry or concern per se, and where does that cross that line?
Yeah, so a good example for that is, let's say you leave the baby in their bassinet sleeping and you have to run down to the laundry room to change the load of laundry. And in doing that, in your mind, you are all of a sudden thinking someone is breaking in your house and stealing your baby. like just bizarre, totally out there. You're thinking of the worst case scenario of things happening, something that wouldn't necessarily happen, or and your mind just kind of goes from 0 to 60 very quickly. It's those intrusive thoughts that really get you. And you just become kind of accustomed to them, and you think that it's normal because you're a new mom. And sometimes people even encourage that, like, oh yeah, it's normal just to keep watching your baby sleep. Where in reality, you're sitting there thinking like, my baby is going to suffocate, my baby might pass away in their sleep, and be full of all of this anxiety, when in reality, that is not normal at all. Same thing of leaving the house and having to check that you lock the door 3 or 4 times, or even while you're driving and you're freaking out that, wait, I did not lock the door. I didn't lock the door. We have to go back now and make sure I lock the door. That is another example of that. When you see that it is taking a toll on you, it's kind of way past that point that it should have been, where you're noticing like, wow, I am just freaking out about everything. I can't even let my husband hold the baby because I'm worried that he's not holding her right, or I can't leave the baby alone in the room. That is when it kind of becomes this really big issue. And some of the symptoms that are listed on the website for anxiety are that constant worrying, the feeling that something bad is always going to happen, not being able to sleep, loss of appetite, inability to sit still, where you can't, rest or relax. You're just constantly wired and needing to keep going and moving. Even some physical symptoms happen with anxiety, and that's like dizziness, hot flashes, make like sick to your stomach, like your heart has dropped into your stomach type of feeling. And sometimes we don't realize we do have some of these risk factors, where it's from our household or our job, or just in general, our life situation, that kind of build up that anxiety for us as well. So yeah, there's a lot that plays into.
I think it's really hard too, because you're listing these symptoms and I'm like, everyone knows me. I don't sit still.
Yeah.
Everybody knows me. Like, I can be flighty sometimes. I have to double check stuff. So like, where is the line of like, this is mommy brain, or you're just a go person, versus people saying like, I think you should maybe seek some help from your provider? Would it be quality of life things? Like, it doesn't affect my life because this is just how I live my life.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. And there are like 2 very distinctive things, like you, for example, you are that type of personality, but it doesn't affect your day-to-day life. It doesn't affect you leaving the house. It doesn't affect how you parent. And it doesn't affect your relationships or anything like that. When it starts making an impact on your day-to-day life, that's one of those things. And it's hard because usually our friends and our spouses are the ones that notice it the most, where they're kind of noticing different things happening and it's not your norm, So that's really important, is to be aware of these symptoms and aware of things, and the personality change, and being able to have that support person really see what is happening and be there to help kind of call you out a little bit.
Yeah, because we all have intrusive thoughts. Like, everyone's been driving down the highway and been like, I wonder what would happen if. Like, that's a legit intrusive thought. And those thoughts, are like, I'm going over a bridge and it's super windy. What would happen if?
Yeah.
If you can acknowledge it and move on, it's just an intrusive thought. But when those thoughts start to be your entire day, and the hypervigilance of everything happening, where it's crippling you from being able to live your life, that's where we want to make sure that you get that support.
And the same thing going with that is, if you're driving, you're like, what would it be like if I just swerved off the side a little bit, or what would happen if I just hit this car, and that kind of, those thoughts, sometimes when it happens, we can't even process why we're thinking like that. And we think something is wrong with us. And sometimes it is so scary where you don't want to seek help because you're worried that maybe someone's going to take your baby away from you. And then that increases the anxiety of like, I can't get help. I can't reach out because someone's going to take my baby from me. I'm not going to be able to protect my baby. And it just keeps going and going and going. So it's very important to know that, I don't want to say this is normal, but so many people go through this and experience this, and you are not alone. And it is okay to reach out and ask for help, and to accept that help to help better you and your family, and for you to be a better person, take care of your baby too.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So if you want to learn more about PSI, it's Postpartum Support International, lots of really great resources on there. And if you're local to the Green Bay area or surrounding area, there's coordinators all over the United States. But in our area, particularly northeastern Wisconsin, you have Miss Cynthia. So thank you for that and sharing and enlightening with us. And we'll have more information about PSI again. We're going to do another Tuesday Talks yet this month about it. So thank you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Sounds good. Thanks.